What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room yet again, always with another one. And yes, indeed, it is another one. So this is where we at now. We have the update on the on Kelly Bryant, the mother who basically abandoned her children for years up in Pontiac, Detroit. And yes, we're going to go here now and we're going to see what's going on. And as y'all can clearly see the title of the broadcast, yeah, they gave her a $250 million bond out here. Hey, listen, look. This is what it is. And yes, true justice needs to prevail in this case, not only for the children, but to set a precedence that, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to say it, that women can no longer treat their children like trash in this country, and it's just going to be okay. So let's go here now. Let's check this out. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
We're going to go now to our other top story. A judge setting the bond at $250 million for the woman accused of abandoning her children in a Pontiac home.
This is a story we've been following since Sunday when we first found out about the heartbreaking investigation.
Kelly Marie Bryant facing a judge today. The 34-year-old appearing via Zoom in Pontiac's 50th District Court. The judge calling Bryant a danger to the community.
She is accused of leaving her 15-year-old son and her 12 and 13-year-old daughters alone since March of 2020. The children were discovered living in horrendous conditions.
7 News Detroit reporter Sarah Michaels listened in on that arraignment and is outside the home where that alleged abuse took place in Pontiac.
We have spent most of this afternoon outside of this home where 3 children were allegedly abandoned for nearly 5 years. We are told that they were living among mold, feces, and piles of trash up to 4 feet, 5 feet tall, some of which we just saw carried out a few moments ago.
Feces all over the place.
Soiled mattresses, moldy couches, dozens of pizza boxes, and trash, all being pulled out of this Pontiac home almost a week after 3 children were discovered living here. It is alleged that 34-year-old Kelly Marie Bryant abandoned 3 of her children here back in 2020. A boy and 2 girls, now 15, 13, and 12, presumably 10, 8, and 7 at the time of their abandonment.
This is wild. Did y'all see all the mess and trash and disease basically that they're pulling out of this place? This is wild. So I'm guessing this is the back end where the garage is supposed to be and things like that, it's also piled up with a lot of trash and things like that. These children been living up under this mess for years. This is wild, bro. How can somebody do their children like this? Why wouldn't she give the children to people that would actually care for them and things like that? Where is all this love and things like that women are supposed to have? Where's all this, mother's intuition and all this stuff that, we grew up in America and, women are supposed to be these flowers and things like that. They're supposed to be loving and this and that. Where is that at out here? Where is that at now? Where is that at? Yeah, women are supposed to be so loving. Okay, Jesus Christ, this is wild.
They were finally found Friday during a wellness check for Bryant. According to the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, Bryant would drop off food periodically and threaten the children to never leave or answer the door. For nearly 5 years, we're told that they had no hygiene products. With the door and windows now open, you can smell the filth inside this home from the sidewalk.
Wow. So they're talking about the whole house lit up the neighborhood with the smell of what was decaying in that apartment.
I find her a continued danger to the children.
Bryant is
Right.
now in jail facing 3 counts of first-degree child abuse. In court Thursday, she was given a $250 million cash bond. The judge saying that she doesn't believe anyone knows where Bryant herself was truly living at the time of this abuse, and that Bryant should have no contact with her own children or anyone under the age of 18.
I don't think she need to have contact with nobody except for a lawyer. Now, the reason why I said that is because everybody's entitled to due process. Everybody's entitled to a lawyer. Okay, it just is what it is. That's how we roll in this country. And true justice needs to prevail in any type of scenario, situation, and things like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for true justice. Everybody needs to have a true representation in the court. But all I'm saying is, though, at the same time, though, too, she don't need to be in contact with nobody. Her father, mother, they don't need to let her talk to nobody. Nobody at all. They don't even need to let her talk to people she locked up with. She don't need to talk to nobody. Put her in solitary confinement. Seriously.
I'm concerned that she still may have contact with a family member from the jail with instructions to continue to engage in the fear tactics to forbid the children from cooperating with authorities.
The sheriff has told us that Bryant's 3 children have received treatment from Care House in Pontiac this week. Care House is an incredible local nonprofit that provides treatment for children who are victims of abuse. Stay with us because coming up in an hour at 6.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying? She's about to dive off into something else. Well, not something else, but I'm about to go here now and show you guys about this Care House situation, okay? So we're about to see what's going on here, where they took the children to and things like that. And let's just check this out and see what's going on here, because it's a lot of mental health that's in play here. These children are, dramatically traumatized right now. I don't know how they're going to, comply. Allegedly, they're with the grandfather now and things like that. I don't know how they're going to, acclimate to the situation that's going on with them being with the grandfather now, things like that. Let's just check this out. Let's see what's going on, okay?
Reporter Sarah Michaels takes us to that facility, showing us how advocates are working on the front lines for children.
This is our forensic interview room. We have 3 forensic interview rooms here at Care House.
Inside this bright, warm building that is Care House of Oakland County is where the 3 Pontiac children, abandoned in filth and grime, have been receiving treatment.
Law enforcement first calls us and sets up the interview so that that child can come to a safe place and be able to tell their experience.
Here, children are given a safe space to pick out a stuffed animal, play, and share their trauma. It is the first step in working through years of abuse. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department tells us the 3 Pontiac children, ages 15, 13, and 12, spent nearly 5 years of their life alone with no hygiene products, no access to education, or a parent's love.
There are things called failure to thrive. With neglect comes a lot of different ramifications on how well they learn, how well they are able to talk, how well they're able to function.
Right. And that makes common sense. If they've been basically locked up in a free prison, I'll put it that way, because technically they were free to leave that apartment at any time, but they are children. So they're also traumatized by the fear of their mother telling them and demanding them to not leave this place, not talk to anybody. Don't you dare do anything without my permission. And of course, children do listen to their mothers. And this is the conundrum that we're living in today's society, where the majority of the children are being raised by mothers and things like that. And of course, we're not saying that all mothers are like this, and that shouldn't have to even be said. But for purposes, it is what it is. But in this case right here, particularly sticking to this case right here, this is a horrible mother. She's a horrible human being. She's trash, just like she left them children in there with trash. She's just as much trash as they found in that house. And it's crazy to me that we're sitting here and we celebrate some of these mothers and stuff like that for being single mothers. And I guarantee you, this is not the only woman who has left her children in dire straits. We've heard reports and things like that. If we go back, you go back on my channel. We've done plenty of reports on my channel, excuse me, about mothers who've abandoned. We had one mother, what was it, early last year, that left her children. This was down in Texas and stuff like that, and she went someplace else to do some other stuff. So, you know, it's wild out here the way that this thing is going. It's wild and highly disrespectful.
That's crazy. It has been nearly 1 week since the children were found inside this Pontiac home during a wellness check for their mother. Maintenance contractor Omar Tame tells me he was there as horrified officers opened this door.
Seeing the condition of the house, there was feces everywhere. And all we could just hear him saying, oh my God, you know.
He says that he watched as officers had to push aside 4 feet piles of mold, trash, and feces to find the children inside.
And then we heard some kids, it's not like they were crying. And when the kids came down, you know, they escorted them out. They couldn't even walk. They never seen outside in years.
What did the kids' hair look like? Their hygiene, could you tell?
Well, their hair was very matted. It didn't even look like hair. It looked like fur. It was very, very scary.
Wow. So them children had been in there feral. They're feral children. And if you understand what the term feral means, it's wild. Basically, it means wild, unkept. Those children, of course, you know, the 15-year-old boy, I guarantee he probably didn't know nothing about grooming those, his sister's hair, even his, things like that. They had been left there since I think he was 10 when he got left there with his younger siblings. A 10-year-old does not know anything like that. That's not that child's place at 10 years old to have to do such things like that, bathe and all this type of stuff with his younger siblings. And, you know, this is highly disrespectful. And, you know, yes, locking her up, Jesus Christ, man, I don't think that's enough punishment. But I'm not going to dive too deep off into that because, you know, I don't think that's enough punishment for this type of egregious crime. But, you know, listen, look, man, these children are in dire straits. I hope they get the best help that we can. Let's keep going.
We're told that the children's mother, 34-year-old Kelly Marie Bryant, would periodically drop off food and told the children to never answer the door or leave the home. Care House tells me it is frequently fear from an authority figure that keeps a child from seeking help. It will take time and treatment for these children to recover from this unimaginable abuse. But Care House tells me it is possible.
What is the hope?
Children are amazingly resilient. You'll see children come out of horrific situations and they seem to be blossoming. It's not that they blossom right away. It's that they blossom because they've been given those resources and they learn that they are important. They learn that what happened to them was not okay.
In Pontiac, Sarah.
And definitely I get that because, you know, we've all been children. So, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely living in America on this planet. We all go through things as children. Some go through things, some don't go through as much, or either alternate situations. Some go through what they think is trauma, some don't. You know, it's crazy. But to really break this down, like my thought process on this is that the 15-year-old, he's going to have a much more substantial memory than the two younger ones have. Now, I'm not saying that they're not going to have their own issues and stuff like that either, but I think that 15-year-old boy is going to have a hell of a time, especially as a young man that, you know, has to grow up in this world and then eventually one day has to get out on his own and be able to provide and protect. Because this is the plight that we put on men now. So eventually he's going to become a grown man one day. And the plight of a grown man is to provide and protect and, you know, do things that, you know, men do. But with this type of crazy scenario that he grew up in, This is going to be wild for him. He man. Yeah. This is going to break all of them, but hopefully they get the help that they really need. All right. So we got one more here. And of course, yeah, we're diving because, you know what I'm saying, this has to be broadcasted. This has to be put out in the forefront. Let's go here now.
But we begin tonight with questions still swirling regarding 3 children that investigators say were abandoned for years inside a Pontiac home. Where was the mom living that whole time? Welcome to 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Mike Duffy. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Kelly Bryant is facing federal charges of child abuse after investigators discovered her children living in filth and squalor for years. And today, our team found out where Bryant may have been living.
And that's not all. 7 News Detroit reporter Sarah Michaels is also listening to the children's grandparents tonight and a neighbor who says he actually had interactions with the kids before.
Up until this point, many of us believe that the 3 children living in this home had no contact with anyone except for their mother for nearly 5 years. Well, today we learned that at least a handful of times they did call out to a neighbor.
Was it just that one time?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
A father himself, Jamar Johnson, tells me he felt the need to share that he heard the 3 kids abandoned in squalor in this Pontiac home. For 6 months, he has lived 2 doors down, and occasionally they yelled out their window to him.
Just, they say, hey, nice car. But, and I might wave back at them, but that's it. There's no way that I could have known that they were in a terrible situation.
Johnson says, how could he know that the room the children were calling from was stacked 4 feet high with mold, feces, and trash? He says he never saw them outside, but he saw their mother, 34-year-old Kelly Marie Bryant.
She would be outside for hours and hours with a friend.
Johnson says Bryant.
So what was she doing sitting outside the apartment for hours and hours with the so-called friend and stuff like that, while those children were in there living how they were living? So this is a period of time here that we have to really think how this is going. This is over a period of time. They were stuck in there for years. So he would see her, I guess, at certain periods of times and stuff like that. Of course, you got to, take in consideration he works, things like that. He's not at home at all times. So, he would see her at times sitting in a car with some dude, I guess, and things like that. This is wild. So what dude was she sitting there with? And how much information did he know about what he was doing out there?
Was always in a car with a friend. He never saw her go inside, and he wonders, who was that friend? Did they know who Bryant was hiding?
She's from here, she's from there. We don't know where she resides.
So many have been wondering where Bryant herself lived while her children sat in isolation. Court documents show 2 addresses. At one of them, I talked to a woman who confirmed Bryant was living here.
Were you guys living together?
The house is about 6 minutes away from where Bryant's children were. The woman.
So she been 6 minutes away for years. Okay. Now I'm just going by what the report here is presenting to us. So what this lady just said, she was 6 minutes away from the children for years, if we can go by what the report is saying here.
Behind the door telling me that Bryant always told them the kids were with their dad, and Bryant actually played with other people's kids. The 3 children, ages 15, 13, and 12, are currently staying with their maternal grandpa. Over the phone, their paternal grandpa, Samuel White, tells me he and the kids' father have been trying to see the kids for years.
But it just hurt because it's not the fact that she had to take them through that. Why would she do that and that wasn't the situation?
White says that he personally asked Bryant to bring the kids around. The answer was always no, begging the final question and perhaps the biggest question: why would she do this?
How are you guys coping with that?
I mean, it's sickening because it was like we wasn't running from the situation. We always asked about them. They doing all right, but it's a lot of scar there. It's a lot of scars.
Bryant will be back in court March 4th for a probable cause conference. In Pontiac, Sarah Mike.
Okay, so it seems like the grandfather is like, listen, look, I don't know why she did this. They don't, they can't figure it out. But, in today's society, I really think that, at this point right now, most of it is about control. She had control over those children and things like that. Her mental, obviously, the mother's mental state is trash out here.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
Obviously, her mental state is trash and things like that. Listen, look, man, you can, you can spit these children out, but once they become adults, they tend to take their own paths and stuff like that, regardless of what we choose to think, or you can teach them whatever. But, they take their own paths and stuff like that. But this is sad. This is highly disrespectful. And yes, I'm glad they gave that mother such a high bail to where can't nobody bail her out unless God decide to come down and do it. And I guarantee you, he ain't finna do it.
You can't make this shit up.
No, he ain't finna do it. So yeah, hopefully true justice prevails and things like that. Like I said, they probably will give her a life sentence or something like that. I don't think that's enough for this type of egregious crime, but if so, hopefully this sets a precedence for future mothers that decide to do trash things like this to their children. And hopefully it works. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.